Buds. I know that you, as well as myself, over the past few years, have had an issue with the pesky illusionist class and the allies and attacks that come along with it. Now, luckily, our new sponsor of the show can help with that. And not only help with that, it can help with your appetite. Now, if you go to your local freezer aisle, take a walk down that aisle, take a little gander into the freezer, you will find Oldham's jalapeno poppers, which are just absolutely delicious, have a little bit of a kick, cheesy goodness, and then help with those phantasm attacks that we have already stated have been an issue, right? This is solving things and filling your belly, which is a great thing. We're very happy to have Oldham's jalapeno poppers as a sponsor of the show. Very happy. They sent me a boatload of boxes. And geez, I've been eating jalapeno poppers for weeks at this point. And I'm probably 100% jalapeno popper at this point. But super happy, grateful. Please check it out. Use promo code FRESH at your cashier at any of the grocery stores in the region of Wraith. They will certainly do something about that. I'm not sure, but hopefully something good. Now, as it goes, I think it's time to get to the show, which, you know, obviously is brought to you by Oldham's Jalapeno Poppers. So without further ado, let's kick it.
Fresh and
all right, welcome back, buds. It is yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all of my buds, and I'm all very thankful for you because guess what? We have a very special episode of the show. This week is Thanksgiving week here in the States, so we'd like to get thankful. For those of you who don't know, the international buds, perhaps that Thanksgiving is just a day, a holiday here in the States where we just get real thankful about stuff and have some food and get a little toasty and sleepy and nappy, watch some football, whatever, you know, however people celebrate it. And, you know, we don't talk about the complicated background and history of the holiday and we just move on. But I love being thankful about things because there's so much to be thankful for. And especially as things get tougher and tougher out there, it's good to take a second to be a little thankful. So we have a great episode for you. I do this every year. We're going to hear from the community this year on what they're thankful for from both the Buds Discord and Twitter. Now, speaking of both of those, the best way currently to support the podcast, not even currently, always is the best way to support the podcast is join the Buds Discord, take a look at the Twitter or X or whatever, and support on both the Spotify platforms by rating and whatever, and YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Word of mouth is a huge thing. If you were a Patreon member, I have suspended billing, and I posted an announcement about that. And that's because, well, it's the holidays. I'm very busy. I can't give the appropriate amount of time to the Patreon to give the buds the full amount of value. So I'll be evaluating that and hopefully, kind of make more sense for the buds. Probably reformat. But in the meantime, the other ways are the best way to support the show and always are. It is great. This is what it's all about, being buds and just kind of enjoying the podcast, enjoying flesh and blood and enjoying each other. And well, without further ado, we're going to get to the show. We're not going to get straight to what everybody's thankful for, but first, let's go over what happened over the weekend. It was a big weekend for Flesh and Blood. It was Worlds, and that happened in Barcelona, as many of you know, and it was very exciting. Now, I might really butcher this name, but Alex Argirio, and if you're listening, well, first of all, thank you for listening. That's really awesome, and congratulations. But if you're listening, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce the name correctly, and I will work on it, I promise. Won Worlds on Fi. Very, very exciting. It was a diverse top 8. There were 2 Fis, 2 Icelanders, 2 OG Dash, 1 Dromai, and 1 Katsu. Now, obviously, Ninja was the most represented class in the top 8, and certainly could be determined that that is a response to the expected dominance of Dromai. Has a great matchup there. And the Icelanders obviously has been a very tight and competitive hero for a long time, and is very close to Living Legends, probably within the next couple weeks. But so we have this top 8. Alex on Fi has to get through 2 Icelanders, one of them being Yuki Lee Bender, who had a great run this past weekend, and obviously fell short, but top 8 in Worlds is excellent. It's really cool. Takes it down. Alex is someone that really just burst onto the scene this weekend. I think only has a pro quest to his name until the Worlds win, which is crazy, which also is great to see because, hey, listen, it's a tough game, but that doesn't mean that every great player is going to always gatekeep these top 8s, right? You can learn to be a great player and really compete, which is awesome. And we're going to get to a point where we're going to have so many great players that it might be hard to predict who makes top 8s. Those fantasy drafts that people do of these large tournaments are going to get harder and harder as we continue to see this game grow. Very cool. Super excited for Alex. That is such a huge win. And coming from Greece, which is a country we don't really hear a lot about in the Flesh and Blood scene, which certainly is going to be talked about a lot more now. And very happy for Alex, and would love to meet Alex at some point. So if you're listening, Alex, shoot me a DM. But there were some other tournaments going on over the weekend. First of all, there was a calling who Florin took down. Now, I believe last week, one of the buds had predicted Florin would win Worlds. Didn't win Worlds, but won a calling. That's pretty incredible. It was sealed. I believe he was on Max Nitro. I would have to double check that. But very, very cool. Love limited callings is a great thing for the game. As folks like Michael Hamilton have said, it's the reason he got into the game. And also, we had our first Living Legend format large scale tournament, really, like the largest one. And as you might guess, Starvo is still quite good. And there were 8 Starvos in the top 8. And guess what? Starvo won the top 8 of the first major Living Legend format tournament. I'll get there eventually. And Lucas Oswalt, which is a young buck who's been playing some great Flesh and Blood, took it down, won the Prism statue. That statue's probably in the hands of Pheno Black at this point. But hey, listen, Prism lovers are going to love Prism, and that's it. But super happy for everybody that won this past weekend and everybody that had a great time there, which I know that, buds like Az and Bill seem to be having a blast. I wish I was there with you guys, but you know what? Maybe the Calling Hartford. That might be a lot of fun. But another thing happened this past weekend was technically the first weekend of the skirmish season. Now, I know the skirmish seasons don't get a lot of press sometimes, but it is still the highest way you can play Blitz for the most part. And it earns Blitz heroes Living Legends points. Now, the Living Legend system has changed where if your hero hits Living Legend mid-season, it's no longer legal for the next week or whatever. So over the weekend, Young Chain hit Living Legend in Blitz. So for the rest of the skirmish season, there's no more Chain. So Chain has been the first hero that both iterations have hit Living Legend in their respective formats, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, very, very powerful card, powerful hero, and continued to be so. So, I guess that means the Shadow Runeblade players gotta stick it out with Vincent for a while, but that is okay. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any other heroes that hit Living Legend in Blitz this skirmish season because we have a few more weeks of it. And I know Kano has to be close. I think Reinhar's got to be close as well. So we could see 2 more heroes living legend this skirmish season. So very interesting. That's what happened this weekend. And hey, listen, there's some great Flesh and Blood happening right now. There's a lot of great stuff coming up. I know the Realm is having their Rumble, their Brawl, coming up in a week and a half here. There are some tournaments in Cincinnati, Hartford, and Queenstown, New Zealand. I know that one's pretty hyped. A lot of people getting invited to that. That seems awesome in January. So I'm super excited for everything that's going on with Flesh and Blood right now, and especially about heavy hitters. Super thankful for heavy hitters because I am ready for some brute action in a limited sense, at least, right? You know, we got a little bit. I'm not complaining, right? This year we got Dusk Till Dawn. We got a lot of Leviathan tools, but let's play. Let's draft some brute. So I'm excited to see what that means for the game and the class of brute, to be honest. So going to be very exciting. But let's get to the Thanksgiving, the festivities here, the Flesh and Bloodsgiving, as I like to call it, of 2023. And to kick it off, I'm going to do fresh faves. Now, normally fresh faves is all about cards, and this week I'm going to do dishes that I like at Thanksgiving dinner. So the categories for these fresh faves are main, so like your turkeys, your hams, your whatever, your side dishes, dessert, and then beverage, right? So I'm going to try to build maybe not the ideal plate for myself right now, but this is where I'm at, right? So let's start with the main. What is my favorite main dish at Thanksgiving? Turkey is a classic, right? And I know there's a lot of turkey haters out there. And what I think about that is, you likely have not had well-made turkey, I would say. Not to dunk on anybody's cooking or anything like that, but it's a hard bird to cook. It is not like it's not like chicken. Chicken's a little bit easier. But turkey is great. I'm not the ham guy at Thanksgiving. I'll have a little bit, but I gotta have I'm not like a glazed ham person. I gotta have like spicy mustard or something like that, like a brown deli mustard, along with my ham, and that just feels a little out of place at Thanksgiving. Now, something that happens a lot here in Jersey, especially when having a meal with some people of Italian descent, the lasagna gets made, which is awesome. I love lasagna, and I love lasagna as like an option at Thanksgiving because turkey, hit or miss, can be excellent. I tend to like the dark meat a lot better than the white meat, but a good lasagna, just like, I don't know. I know it doesn't sound like Thanksgiving, and this is going to be a hot take, and I'm sure I'm going to catch a lot of grief on Twitter, but that's okay. I'm going lasagna for the main. I hate to say it. Now, let's talk about side dishes, because this is where Thanksgiving really, really does well. The sides, all about the sides. Everybody says that. And there's some great sides to be had. You got your mashed potatoes, you got your green bean casserole, you got your cranberry sauce and stuff like that. And I gotta say, so I like anything with mushrooms, and something that is often made in my family is like a stuffed mushroom with like a sausage stuffing in there. So like I love stuffing, but like when you pop it into like a little mushroom cap, and it's just like it's like a little morsel of like tasty mushroom goodness with like stuffing and sausage. God, it kind of like trumps on flavor like every other side dish, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Now, some people might not like mushrooms, and I understand that. So, it's not for everybody, but I'm gonna go with stuffed mushrooms for a side dish. I know I'm building a weird plate right now, and obviously I enjoy everything at Thanksgiving, almost everything. There's some things I don't. You can DM me if you want to know. I don't want to trash anybody's favorite Thanksgiving dish on air here, but got to go with stuffed mushrooms. Lasagna, stuffed mushrooms. And for dessert, now here's going to be the classic. I am a pumpkin pie guy. I like pumpkin pie, and maybe it's because it's typically, I only have it once a year, where something like an apple pie or a cherry pie or whatever I'm having, it could show up at a 4th of July picnic. It could show up at Christmas. It could show up at Easter, whatever. Pumpkin pie, to me, lives in one holiday, and that is Thanksgiving. So I got to give the nod here to pumpkin pie. Now for beverage, I'll do two different beverages. I'll do non-alcoholic and alcoholic because, not everybody drinks, and that's totally fine. So the non-alcoholic beverage, I would say, is apple cider. Apple cider is just, and for whatever reason, I don't know why this is, and there's probably a reasoning out there, and I might be crazy, and I could be totally wrong here, but apple cider, unlike apple juice, only comes around in the fall, and I just like that almost kind of like unfiltered, like really just tastes like fresh apples that you get from apple cider rather than like the kind of fake sugary apple that I tend to feel that I get from apple juice. Apple cider is just like, gosh, it's one of my faves. And for an alcoholic dessert, I would say like an old fashioned, right? Something with whiskey, a little bit on the boozier side. You just finished your meal. You're sitting down on the couch. There's football on at this point, depending on what time you eat with your family. Maybe the Cowboys are on. They're usually the second game. You can root against the Cowboys or for them, but mostly against them. And you can kind of relax and kind of let that food digest, and then maybe after the drink you're like, all right, let's go throw the football around or something like that, or take a walk maybe. So that's my ideal fresh faves Thanksgiving meal. A little wacky, a little all over the place, but trust me, it's all coming together if you're at the Fresh Casa for this kind of meal. But without further ado, let's get to what people are thankful for. And this is in no particular order. Actually, it is in a particular order. It's in the order in which people sent it. And then I uploaded it to the file. First person to answer was Flake. Flake, if you don't know, has a podcast called Instant Speed Podcast. It is arguably one of the most, I wouldn't say influential, I guess maybe like Arsenal Pass would be, but like one of the most, in terms of like news and interviews, is one of the biggest podcasts in the game, and has done a lot of great things for the game. Flake has done a lot of great things. Now, I know we're fighting right now, and we hate each other, actually. And next time I see him, I'm giving him a noogie, and he's going to have to deal with that. But Flake is someone that I'm very thankful for. Kind of has always been very kind to me, and is just, for a Canadian person, just the bee's knees, and he's just great. So let's see what he's thankful for. He says, for Tommy Fresh, plain and simple. Well, thank you, Flake. I know you don't mean it, unless you do, and that's really nice. I appreciate it, buddy. Next comes from a longtime bud, Azor, or I believe he goes by Andrew sometimes. Is a mainstay in the Buds Discord, has no shortage of opinions, and is also just a very, very good bud, and has been for a very long time. He kept it simple here with what he's thankful for. Coffee, good. Azor loves coffee. We know this because in the Food Picks channel in the Discord, it's a lot of coffee coming from Azor, which, hey, listen, coffee's great. A lot of people can't function without coffee. I know I can't function without caffeine. I wish it was more just coffee and not maybe like really unhealthy energy drinks or whatever, but I'm working on it, buds. But yes, as always, right. Coffee is good, and thankful for you, bud. The next person here is Dr. Runebabe, who you might know as Anna Shreve, who's been on the podcast. Just excellent person, awesome to talk to, and just a ball of joy. And she is also thankful for the Rune Cats, which are her little kitties, which she had posted a picture of when she posted this thankful note, and they were very adorable. She, just like Andrew, is also thankful for coffee. Cool. We're seeing a lot of coffee today. Her husband, who I've also met, who's just a stand-up gentleman and an excellent person, an excellent bud. I love to see that. And Flesh and Blood, which is what brings us all together, which is very, very nice. Thank you, Anna. Very thankful for you. You are a positive light in this game, and we're very happy to have you, and hopefully happy to keep having you in this game, and excited to chat with you again soon, Anna. Thank you so much. Next, Dagan White, everybody's favorite Bravo player or Control player. What can you say about Dagan that hasn't been said already? Dagan is just a sweetie pie. So great at the game. Gives me faith in competitive players as people, right? Dagan is one of those guys. It's like, yeah, he's great. And he's confident. And he is a great dude and a great bud. Dagan here is thankful for everything Flesh and Blood has given me, he says. I should probably keep it on the same tense here. The means to travel the world, my epic locals, my team, and all of you for making the community great. Even Flaky says, wow, Flake, oh, little backhanded compliment. No, that is a great message, Dagan, and we are all very thankful for you. We are constantly happy to just have you pop into the Discord and show up on the podcast. It's always a great time chatting with you, buddy. Next comes from Gary, who is, well, I've known Gary since before. This is Mr. Viz for those of you who don't know. I've known Gary since before Flesh and Blood was even a game, if you can believe it. And Gary is one of the sweetest people, right? He gets so excited about things. And it's one of those, it blows my mind how excited Gary can just get about things, right? Like, he has no need to ever just amp himself up, or if he does, he doesn't show it. And he's very kind and a great friend, and you know, he's just a ball of love and energy, and that's why, you know, the buds would not be a thing without Gary. That is for sure. And I know that he always wants to open packs, like in my stead sometimes, and I can't let him because this guy opens heat like it's nobody's business. So sorry, Gary, no more packs for you in my stead. Thank you very much. Gary is thankful for the buds, chosen families, and the LGSs we all call home. Great message. Obviously the buds are great. I could sing those praises forever. Chosen families, absolutely, right? Sometimes, especially during the holidays, you got to find maybe the family that you were given isn't what's making you happy, but communities like the Buds and the Flesh and Blood community are a great way to find a family that makes you feel seen and heard and loved. And the LGSs we all call home. You know, I don't know if it's necessarily the most lucrative business to have an LGS, right? But we're all pretty happy that they exist, right? And Flesh and Blood wouldn't exist without LGSs, and this community wouldn't exist without it. So please support your LGS. Local business, independent business is a great thing to support always. Great message there, Gary. Next comes from Greg, our part-time producer. I guess he's been stolen from the podcast for, the Attack Action podcast, but whatever. Taylor, your days are numbered, buddy. Greg is a wonderful person. Greg is he only ever means well, which is such a great quality to have in a person. He's a family man and is also a buds man, which is one of the best qualities, in my opinion, to be. So Greg is just awesome. Darth Prentice, if you don't know, in the Discord. Greg is thankful for his family, podcasts, not weed ones, which this is not a weed podcast, folks. Although people seem to think that sometimes. Don't look at the hat. Discord, which is a great place to, it just connects people all over. Although sometimes it drives me nuts, but not the Buds Discord. And all the other technology that has helped me connect with this community, which is a great sentiment to put out there, because people like Greg who have families and are caregivers and, do not have the time or are very close LGS need good technology like Talshar and webcam and stuff like that to be able to play the game that we obviously all love. And, sometimes it's not as accessible as you'd hope. And thank you, Greg, for writing in. Next comes from Capolo, who was just on the podcast a few weeks ago and is also listening to my other podcast, Fresh Juice, which is obviously awesome that Capolo listens to that as well. If anybody's interested in indie video games, go check that out. But Cap is, there's nobody like Capolo, right? I will say that. He is, and this is going to go straight to his head. I know as soon as I start saying this, I know exactly what I'm getting into. But he is a sweet, sweet person, and he's very passionate, and he is super talented, and I'm happy that I have a friend like Capolo. Capolo's awesome, and he is loyal, and I think that's such a great quality in him, and he's just a wonderful human being, and you should all check out his YouTube channel, which is just Capolo. Capolo writes, I'm thankful for all the amazing Flesh and Blood community, especially the Buds. Shout out the Buds. And I'm also thankful for my family, he says, his fiance, and my little beast Sarkin, who is a cat who has been on the show, folks. If you go onto the YouTube, I think a couple episodes ago when Capolo was on, a cat goes on camera, which is, hey, listen, cats are pretty cool. In my book, anyway. So thank you, Capolo. Appreciate you. Best of luck on the wedding planning. I'm going through it myself as well right now. William Knuckles from the Table Pit, who is an awesome bud, and just a like, I don't know. There's something about William that just like I want to hang out with him more, and he just has this kind of passion for the game and UPF that like just is contagious in a way. And love chatting with William, and love all the content that he does, and I'm looking forward to building our relationship and our friendship as the years go by, and we continue to do content in the same realm. And William is a, hey, listen, William's a company man. He doesn't even work for Fresh and Buds. He says, I'm thankful for Fresh and Buds merchandise, which I should push more. I'll be honest. You can also be, he dropped the link. You can also be thankful at www.verygoodembroidery.com/freshandbuds. Shout out to Jeff O and his lovely fiance. Thank you, William. Appreciate you shouting out the merch. I don't do it good enough, but I'm working on it, and I'm thankful that it's been pointed out to me. How about that? Crixus, who is, I guess not a new bud, but newer in terms of the grand scheme of the Fresh and Buds. But ever since Crixus has been in the Discord, has been such a great member of the community. engages with other buds and asks for advice and gives advice and just, expresses himself in just like such a good big bud energy way. Love Crixus. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a bud. And, thank you for submitting what you are thankful for, which is I'm thankful for my family, friends, and an amazing Flesh and Blood community we can interact with, even when personal life makes it hard to make it out to the LGS. Now, Crixus, I believe, is another fab dad, which is, hey, listen, you take it when you can get it, when you have responsibilities, and I'm happy that Crixus gets the ability to do that. But thank you so much. Very thankful for you, buddy, and I hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving. And the last one from the Discord, we have some from Twitter as well. Ooh, multi-platform. How about that? Last one from the Discord is Dead Summer, who obviously Kale has been on the show multiple times, will be on the show multiple more times. He is our lore expert. He's our, guy out in the field getting the, the lore together for us. He's our correspondent for lore and is awesome. And it's really just very sweet and one of those friendships that puts Flesh and Blood and my journey in Flesh and Blood into perspective, right? A lot of these buds that I've listed are obviously all great buds and, love them to death. But for the most part, we're all in the continental US or North America. Kale is from Australia, which, is wild. If you told me 5 years ago, it's like, oh, you're going to have long, meaningful conversations with someone from Australia that you're going to become friends with in a few years, like multiple times a year, I would say you're crazy and, don't talk to me ever again. No, I'm kidding. It would be hard for me to believe that. And it's pretty incredible that I have someone like Kale in my life who is just wonderful. And if you obviously have not watched a lot of Kale's videos, please do, because they're just incredible. Check out Dead Summer Art on YouTube. And Dead Summer is thankful for his local community. They have a very small yet tight-knit group of Flesh and Blood players that have been together for many years. They have always been supportive of his work on YouTube, and I've loved running events for them, or he's loved running events for them. That's awesome. I know that Kale's local community, and we've talked about on the podcast, has been through ups and downs, and it sounds like it's in a great spot right now, or at least I hope, and I'm happy that they're giving Kale some just something to be thankful for, which is incredible. Now let's get to Twitter, folks. First one comes from a local bud, also a member of the Runaways, I believe, Michael Dalton, who I started, was at my first couple of my first slew of armories. And Michael is someone that I've become friends with. It's just very cool. Someone that's really great at the game and just, has a good group of friends, Craig, Jim, who's been on the podcast. They have known each other for a very long time, and I'm very grateful to have gotten to know them. Michael says he's grateful for me. He says Tommy Von Fresh, throwing out that name. And I am thankful for you too, Michael Dalton. Although he put on this addendum, even though he's too cool to come play with us Monday nights at Highlander. Unfortunately, I've moved, and Highlander's over an hour away, so it's a tough commitment. I do want to get back up to Highlander. It's where I first started playing Flesh and Blood, like weekly, and it's a great store up in Boonton, New Jersey. Shout out to Highlander Games. Next comes from Taylor Morrow, who's been on the podcast a couple times, I guess, and has his own podcast, the Attack Action Podcast, which I guess is the longest running podcast in Flesh and Blood. And he keeps stealing me, stealing Greg. I mean, what's next? Gary gonna go over there, but Taylor is I love Taylor to death. You know, my first guest on the show, and has been on many other times, and there's something about hanging out and talking to Taylor that really is exactly what I wanted when I started this podcast. Fresh and Buds. I'm Tommy Fresh. You are all my buds. I want to hang out with buds. And when Taylor and I are on the show, and maybe it doesn't translate to everybody, but I think it does, it just feels, I feel like I've known Taylor for a long time, and we can be silly. We kind of get each other. We can, go back and forth. And I love Taylor, and I love Isaac and Colin over at the podcast as well. They're just great people. I look up to them. I have looked up to them, and they're wonderful. And sure, whatever. He's taken over the podcast, taken over Fresh Buds, hostile takeover, which I might add, he tweeted. But still thankful for Taylor. He's the best. Taylor says, thankful for the friends I've made from Flesh and Blood and my wife. She is my favorite person. Well, Taylor, I take back all the nice things I said about you. I thought I was your favorite, but I guess your wife won that battle. But no, that's very sweet. Loving your wife's pretty cool, I would say. And, especially if they're your favorite person. That's even cooler. Tommy's Top Picks, who's a local bud, somewhat local, and also has a great YouTube channel, Tommy Top Picks, has been on this podcast, is a blast to hang out with whenever I see him at, usually the Philly area events. And just, he gets it. He gets the jokes. He gets the idea. He gets the absurdity of content creation. Tommy is, and he also shares the same name. And when we first met, it was like, oh, we got to do the podcast. And then we got to say Tommy back and forth to each other a million times. And I was like, okay, this is my kind of person. Tommy's Top Picks is a bud, big bud energy. And Tommy is thankful for hunks like you. Well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate that, but I'm thankful for hunks like you, Tommy. Two Tommies hunking it up out here. Next, we have Jesse Harper, a.k.a. the Orc Knight. I am in love with Jesse. Jesse is the best. Jesse understands Riptide like no other. Jesse helps me with Riptide. We talk sometimes about it. Well, usually it's just him. It's like, hey, I figured something out. And I'm like, what? Tell me. And he explains it. I'm like, that sounds really cool. Let me try that. And it's like almost all the time, it's really cool. And Jesse's awesome. He loves the game. He loves the community. And he loves getting his Talishar signed, which is very, very cool. And Jesse is thankful for Icequake plus Talishar with Go Again. Hey, listen, however you want to play the game, I'm not going to stop you. That's some wild stuff right now. And this guy named Tommy who does a podcast thingy, perhaps you know them. I've never heard of that. Is that Tommy Top Picks? Who knows? But thank you, Jesse. You're the best. Next, we have Gorganian Tome, a.k.a. Dylan, who was on the podcast. Excellent video essays. Please check out the Gorganian Tome on YouTube, please. Just helps open up my mind to Flesh and Blood in a way different way, and is way too smart for this game. Maybe he's just the best. I think, listen, your video essays are so good, and you make the game better because of them, and you're a great person. And I think I love good people, buds. I can't help it. But Gorganian Tome is thankful for his wife and his dog, and Runechant tokens. I'm surprised Gary didn't say Runechant tokens. Interesting. Haven't met your wife. I'm sure she's amazing. Haven't met your dog. I'm sure they are amazing. And the Runechant tokens, I can't really speak about Runechant tokens. I don't want to be demonetized. But thank you, Dylan. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great week and a great holiday season. We have Jim Allen, who I don't know Jim Allen that well, follows me on Twitter, but Jim is a bud. That's all I care about. Jim is thankful for all the incredible content creators that keep us entertained and educated. Well, thank you. Special shout out to TCG Talk, Lupine Fiasco on YouTube, and of course FreshBudspod. Oh, thank you very much. Also, Savage Feats coverage is so amazing. Fab players are spoiled, but we deserve it. This community rocks. All sentiments, I can get 1,000,000% behind Jim. Thank you so much for submitting that. The content creators, we're doing this for the love of the game. This is a lot of fun. If it wasn't fun, we wouldn't be doing it. So, and yeah, shout out to all the creators, especially the ones mentioned, and Savage Feats for doing the Lord's work out there with coverage. And finally, we have a message from Kai on Twitter. I believe it was Cyber Kai. Excuse me. I'm thankful for Sin, Fab TCG, who's been on the podcast, who is the aggro yinzer, as they say. He got me into Flesh and Blood, and it's helped me get out of my comfort zone and be more social IRL, especially with the move from New Jersey to Florida earlier this year. And Kai, I don't know if I know you personally. It's tough to say with usernames sometimes because you lived in New Jersey. But who knows? Obviously, reach out. Maybe we have cross paths. But that is a wonderful message right there, because guess what? That's what it's all about. Getting out of your comfort zone, playing the game in the flesh and blood it's a social thing. It's great to be around people and like-minded people and people that are kind and treat each other with respect all through this game, Flesh and Blood. And Sin, obviously, I'm thankful for Sin too. Sin is a unending ball of entertainment. I would recommend following Sin on Twitter if you want to see the most chaotic hot takes. Sin's your guy. I love him. I'm like, what is he talking about? I screenshot a bunch of them. I can't wait to see him in a few weeks. I'm gonna be like, what's this? What are you talking about? What is that? And it's pretty funny. But we're close like that. I can bust his chops a bit. But hey, thank you, Kai, for submitting that. And I'm hoping that you are having a great time down in Florida. And with all that said, we're here at the end here. It's a nice shorter episode. I hope everybody in the States are enjoying their Thanksgiving, and everybody abroad is enjoying their November and soon to be the holiday season. I'm thankful for, obviously everything listed here, but I'm really thankful for the opportunity that this game has given me to do something I love, which is actually a couple things. First, play a trading card game, a physical trading card game. I love physical trading card games, and good ones at that, and Flesh and Blood is that. I love this game. I think about it all the time, and it just makes me happy. And also talking to a microphone. I know that maybe it sounds like a crazy thing to say, but I love the podcasting medium. It's just so free form and takes some finesse to be somewhat okay at it, which I think I am. I'm not sure. Leave a comment below. I don't know. But it's just really cool that the game has given me the opportunity to do this, and I would hope to get to a point in my own personal life where I can do it more seriously and more often. And hey, listen, I'm excited for 2024 and what it has to bring for the game. Obviously we're gonna do end of year stuff, but it's worth saying that I'm thankful for everything this past year. I'm thankful for making connections that I have and and becoming close with the people that I have. And I hope that it continues to grow and we only get more comfy with each other, as I am sitting on this really, really comfortable chair in this room with a fireplace for the YouTubers and for the minds of the Spotify listeners and the audio listeners. It's a little theater of the mind for you. That's where I'm at. But thank you all for listening. I'm very thankful for you all, especially if you made it all the way through. Extra thankful for you. And please let the folks and buds that you know that you love them, and please have a great holiday season. We got some great podcasts coming up in December, January, and beyond until the end of time. And I'm excited for what's coming with heavy hitters. Maybe I throw my hat in the ring. Who knows? Maybe I already do know. Who knows, folks? But thank you for listening. This has been Fresh and Buds. And I got to say, I'm thankful for one person in particular that I need to talk about. But before I do that, I should also say I'm thankful for my fiance. Sorry, she doesn't listen, but she should get a shout out. Lady Fresh is the best. Sorry, babe. You didn't listen anyway, but guess what? I'm still shouting you out. But with all that said, talk a little bit about food at the end. I know we talked a little bit about it at the top, but I am Lady Fresh, who I just mentioned, made a whipped feta the other day that was just bomb.com, and I just want to eat more of it, and we don't have any more feta. So that's a problem. So I guess I got to go to the grocery store and make a whipped feta again, I guess. That was pretty good. But continue to support the show, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Buds Discord. All the links are in the description below. Merchandise, which William brought up. Good looks, William. And my other show that I do with my cousin, Matty Juice, Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. We talk about indie video games, review one every week, and have a good time with it. You can find that info in the description below. But the number one person I am thankful for, and he's been really patient, and has been waiting in the wings to be on this podcast for a long time. But Charmer, I'm very thankful for you, buddy. You are just the best, and I think it's time right now for you to wait another week to come on the podcast. Thank you all, and stay